All right, so Steven, tell us about this bread video you just saw.
So the bread video. Who am I telling? I can't tell them all my secrets.
Off the interweb?
Off the interweb, because Google's always right. Anyways, watch this video on Google. Plug in the light. Plug in the light. Why do we have to videotape me?
You saw the video.
Then I have to explain the whole background story to all of this.
No,
So,
it's a video about how to get the pilot bushing out.
exactly. I was getting there.
Okay.
Into the bottom.
So to get the pilot bushing out, you stuff bread through the hole, get a bolt, tap on it with a hammer, put more bread in there, tap it with a hammer, put more bread in there, tap it with a hammer, and the whole bushing pilot comes out. I think it's a waste of food.
Can you tell us what bread works the best?
Moist bread is what the video said.
And we're guessing, obviously, moist bread or denser bread has more displacement value versus, you know, like Wonder Bread that's so thin you can take a whole loaf and condense it into a little, you know, golf ball.
Right.
But something that was more dense most likely would work.
So,
Steven chose not to use that method.
We got
Went and
tools.
got a pilot bushing puller and a slide hammer. So we will go up underneath and explain to you how the pilot bushing puller works. So, just thinking what we needed to do, we went to the parts store, got a pilot bushing slide hammer so we can get the pilot bushing out, replace it with the new one. And before we left, I thought we should take this bolt with us and buy a new bolt or two to replace the ones that we had to grind the head off of to get out. So we went to the store, got a pilot bushing puller, slide hammer, and came all the way back home again. And I just looked at the front of the Jeep, and what did I find? Sitting right there in a little hole so I would see it and remember, is the bolt that we need to buy replacement for. We were actually able to finally get this one off, although we stripped the head out. And but we had to cut the head completely off the other one to get it off. So as is normally the case, we'll just make another trip back to the parts store for the 25th time and call it good. So now I will climb down underneath and we will see if we can get good light quality and show you how this pulley works. Oh my goodness. Someone needs to hit the record button when we do things like that.
Alright, now put it back in.
should I tap it back?
Look at the laughing monkeys.
Put the job in.
Okay, well, since I forgot to hit the record button, which, you know, YouTube is hard, video taping is hard, we're going to simulate what you would do. So there's the pilot bushing. It goes up into that hole, and you would slide you would slide this portion of it into the middle and then tighten it so that the jaws expand out. You can see them expanding there. And then
Then pull back.
you would use the slide portion here. Hold on, let me get back a little ways. And you basically slide it backwards and do that a few times and it pulls it out. It was really easy. They're not really pressed in there too tight. And it just pulls that right out.
Always gotta be.
So a visual inspection of the flywheel shows that it's really nice soft surface still. There's no lip, no rough spots. Does not need to be reground. We will use some brake cleaner on it just to make sure there's no grease or anything, and wipe it down, and then put everything back together. So putting the pilot bushing back in is pretty simple. They're not really pressed in there too tightly, so it doesn't take a lot of effort. You basically find a socket that you aren't too fond of that's roughly the same outside diameter of the bushing. If you hold that up there, you'll see, actually show us, it's roughly the same outside diameter. And then again, this is not really pressed too tightly in place, or just a little few taps with the hammer, making sure it's flush. Tap on the top edge of it.
I'm not left-handed.
Awesome. And that's that.
I think that's flush.
Get all that in the middle. You see all that? Yeah. And all the loose shaving piece.
I'll grab you a couple more.
All this right here. Wipe all that off first, and then go back to cleaning it. Get all that loose old clutch material out of it.
Okay.
So the spring side of the clutch right here goes into the belt, the pressure plate. No, that would be the other way. But let me give you the easy step on how to do that. Put it into the pressure plate.
Easy. It was
Yeah.
easy.
And then put that through there. Yeah. And then make sure you got a bolt somewhere handy. You're going to just slide that up into the pilot bushing hole. The little alignment tool right there at the end of it. Slides right into the pilot bushing that we just put in there.
This is very difficult. One-handed.
You can put the clutch disc in place first.
Let's do that first.
There you go. So we were going to do a comparison on this clutch versus the other clutch, and we forgot to do that, but this is a high capacity clutch. It's an upgrade from the stock clutch. Has better holding power than the stock clutch, and since Steven does use this Jeep quite extensively for off-road applications, we felt it was important to have something that we knew was going to hold in four-wheel drive, applications. The stock Rubicon does come with 410 gears and a 4-to-1 transfer case reduction. So in four-wheel drive, it does have considerably lower gearing and torque. It also comes, the manual transmission comes with a 4.3
or 4.4 or something around
to
that
1
neighborhood.
first gear ratio. So it's just, and we plan on doing some other upgrades possibly to this down the road, and so making sure we have a high capacity clutch is a good idea. So you just install the bolts all the way around it, you finger tighten them until it's snug. Making sure that your alignment tool is centered before you really tighten them too much. And then you're going to, in stages, go around side to side, top to bottom, and snug them down to a torque setting. So it's always a good practice to apply just a little bit of Loctite to help ensure that the bolts don't come back out. They are torqued to 38 foot-pounds, which isn't a ton, and a little Loctite ensures that they stay where they're supposed to stay. I've heard many people say that, consider Loctite mandatory, not optional in, most settings like this. Again, make sure that your alignment tool is centered as you tighten the bolts. Make sure that when you try to put the transmission in, that input shaft can slide in there as gently and easily as possible. I've done many clutch and transmission swaps, and it makes all the difference in the world when it's not lined up. They still don't seem to go in there all that easily regardless, but it's much easier if you start out at least in a somewhat aligned up position. You always seem to wiggle and shake and shimmy before they magically just slip in. So we'll see how this one goes compared to others. So then again, the torque specs are, I've seen 3 or 4 different listings, 35 to 40 foot-pounds. For the pressure plate, we're going to go with 38.
Can you count that high?
No, that's why the numbers are here, so I don't have to count.
Whenever you're working on vehicles, it's always important to have a quality torque wrench and to understand how they work and use them. Ensuring proper torque specs on everything ensures long life, longevity, and that it's not going to come out.
I think I misread that. Oh, never mind, I misread that.
we'll most likely at some point have to get some kind of wedge to wedge between see how that spun. Hold on 1 second, Josh. If you want to get on that side, Steven might have.
You can scoop this way.
Steven twists so he's underneath the vehicle there a little bit.
Am I just wedging it?
Yeah, somehow if you use that dowel on top, then it pretty much holds itself for at least
So you want to put that above the dowel. That way when I twist it won't.
Alright. Then you can pull out your alignment tool. Hopefully you've got everything in there properly. Clutch disc is all held in place by the pressure, and that is ready for the transmission to go back in. First thing we have to do though is, if you will look up here, there's that broken bolt right there that we cut the head off of. To get it out, we need to reach up there and remove that. Steven, you want to see if it'll come out by hand? Once you have no pressure, once you have no torque and pressure against it, most of the time they will fall right out just like that. We will replace those with some metric hex heads, and that way next time it should be easier to get them out than the E10 or E12, I think that they were. Due to location, getting a socket ratchet in there with a 4-foot extension makes it nearly impossible first off, and when the E12 heads just strip a lot easier than a standard hex head. So we'll replace those when we put it back in. Unfortunately, after we get his Jeep in and we change his clutch, we discover that that was not the cause of his problems, and the diagnostic process will continue. We hope you enjoy this video. Please like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment below, and we will be sure to read and respond. Thanks for watching.